Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at these cable snow tire chains from Glacier Chains here on our 2022 Ram 1500 Classic. Now this cable style of chain is a lot less aggressive than a typical chain style. These are going to be pretty low profile and light duty, so any on-road use these are going to be great for. Sort of light snow, maybe not necessarily ice because they're not going to have that bite and that dig in like something like a chain might. But they are going to be good for some relatively normal driving, just to give you some extra traction. The cables are covered with these spring rollers here to help give them a little bit more height and keep everything moving smooth while still giving you that nice low profile appearance. We do recommend adding a rubber tensioner here because there isn't a great built-in tensioning system to these cables, so this is going to help ensure a really strong fit on the tire. Regardless though, what is included on the cables is this lever system with a series of studs so you can get that right fitment for your tire. This is just going to bring up that extra slack to make sure everything is solid and secure. They do come in this carrying case that is reusable. I will say it's kind of hard to get them rolled back up and fit tightly back into this bag once they are out. So it's maybe not the most convenient thing in the world, but this is certainly a better carrying case than some of the canvas bags that other chains come in. Those have a tendency to rip over time, especially with the bigger, bulkier, more aggressive chains fitting in those. I would still maybe recommend just getting a plastic tote to keep these in. It's going to be a little bit easier to get those shoved inside, and it'll be waterproof, so you don't have to worry about any sort of melted snow or ice leaking in or through the bag. So it's going to be a lot cleaner over the long run. And getting these installed is pretty straightforward. Let's check out that process now. Starting off the installation, we want to lay the chain out and make sure that nothing's twisted or tangled. These cable chains are typically a little easier to work with than the traditional chain style, but just good to check and make sure everything's all good. And then we want to make sure everything's in the correct orientation. We've got the lever arm here towards the outside of the tire. We're going to be putting this over the top of the tire. So we also want these kind of hook shapes flat side down because that's going to be more like the tire side. So I'm going to drape this over the tire now and try to just keep everything relatively centered front to back and side to side. Again, these are typically easier to work with, especially once you get them on. They can kind of roll back and forth a little bit. Right about there looks pretty good though. So we can actually go around to the back and make our first connection. So on the side closest to me, we have our catch plate. And then on the side closest to the camera there, we have our link with our studs. So basically we just want to feed those studs through the large opening in the catch plate and get as many on there as we can. I'm going to go for 4 right here. And then once it kind of rotates back flat, you'll see it's catching that stud. We might need to adjust the fitment here depending on how everything fits up front. Once you get these on your tire once or twice, you'll kind of get a feel for where it sits and what catch plate or what stud you need to go to get the right fit for your tire. So we'll start here, we'll go up front and make our next connection. So we're gonna have the same situation up here with our studs and the catch plate. We'll feed those through. Right about 3 seems pretty good. And then we can fold back this lever arm and that's just gonna pull it a little bit tighter. So you can see here, I've still got a fair bit of movement, so I'm gonna see if I can get maybe 1 more stud onto that catch plate right there. You can see as I'm pulling that, we're getting a lot more tension around the tire here. Again, we might see if we can get another. So we've got 5 studs through right now. I'll go ahead and fold that back. You can see here, we're getting a much better fit. This little lever will kind of hook onto the cable behind it and get that to pop through. And then once that catches, we can actually secure the excess bit here on the end with these red hooks kind of by our lever. We don't have to use both of them. I'm just going to try to hook on this one that's closest or even bring this one up if I can. And you can see with that hooked in place, that's going to make sure this doesn't just flop around. It's going to be nice and secured. And overall, we're getting a pretty good snug fit on the tire. I'm actually going to add a rubber tensioner here It's not provided in the kit, but we always recommend them. It's just an extra layer of security to make sure everything stays snug to the tire. And then once that's in place, we can drive over them a few times, check and make sure everything's still sitting on the tire nice and tight. If we need to make any adjustments, we can, and then we're ready to hit the road. And that'll do it for our look and installation at these Glacier Chain snow tire cable chains here on our 2022 Ram 1500 Classic. Thanks for watching.